Well, we now know the name of a woman who was shot and killed outside of an apartment complex on Mallet Hill Road that we told you about. She is 25-year-old Wynter Straw.
Man, around here in these streets, man, okay, okay, what the fuck? I'm playing. Okay, okay. Slide in, I slide out. Yeah, hold up, hold up. You killed that.
Instead of complaining about anything, learn to be thankful for everything. Hashtag speaking from the heart. B. Fletcher.
I looked him in the eyes and said, I'm giving you my child. That's how I want to get her back. March 26th, 2023, 6 p.m., Columbia, South Carolina. Gunshots shatter the evening air outside Carrington Place Apartments. A young woman collapses on the pavement. Her name, Wynter Nicole Straw. 25 years old. A life full of promise gone in seconds. Her mother trusted the man who pulled that trigger, looked him dead in the eye, handed over her daughter's heart, and he promised he'd never hurt her. If you've ever trusted the wrong person, you need to stay right here, because what you're about to hear could save your life or someone you love. Hit that subscribe button now. The next red flag might not give you a second chance. So who was Wynter Nicole Straw? And how did everyone miss what was coming? Let me paint you a picture. Columbia High School, early 2010s. A basketball court, a girl with fire in her eyes and a jump shot that could silence a gym. That was Wynter, not just talented, hungry. She didn't just play the game. She owned it. 2015, she graduated, but she wasn't done. Allen University came calling, and Wynter answered. Volleyball, basketball, she did both. And in 2016, she helped Allen win their first ever women's basketball championship. First ever. Her former coach, Jason James, said it best. She was a big part of that team. But that's coach speak. What he meant was this Wynter was the heartbeat. 2020, she walked across that stage with a bachelor's in social science. Pre-law concentration, because Wynter didn't just want to win games, she wanted to change lives. And she did. After graduation, Wynter took a job most people wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Mental health officer at South Carolina's Broad River Correctional Facility. You know what that means? She walked into cells with the state's most troubled, most dangerous inmates, and she tried to help them heal. Think about that for a second. While most of us are complaining about our Mondays, Wynter was delivering crisis intervention to people society had given up on. The Department of Corrections said she embodied the epitome of a dedicated officer. But here's the kicker, she wasn't done. Law school was next. She was going to be a lawyer, an advocate, a voice for the voiceless. You ever met someone like that? Someone who just glowed. Drop a comment and tell me about them. Because people like Wynter, they're rare. And when they're taken from us, it leaves a hole that never fills. But Wynter had a life outside those prison walls. She had dreams, friends, a mother who adored her, a sorority Delta Sigma Theta, Gamma Pi chapter, and she had him, Renardo S. Johnson, 27, Pelion, South Carolina. On paper, just a guy. But here's what you need to understand about guys like Renardo. They don't look like monsters. They don't walk around with warning labels. They smile, they charm, they make mothers feel safe. Lashin Williams, Wynter's mom, she trusted him. She looked Renardo in the eyes, the same eyes that would later take her daughter's life. And she said, I'm giving you my child. A wholehearted, bubbly personality. That's how I want to get her back. And Renardo, he looked right back and said, I would never hurt her. But here's the thing, control doesn't always leave marks you can see. No bruises, no screaming matches, no 3 a.m. calls to friends saying, I need to get out. Nothing. Wynter's mom saw nothing. So answer me this. How does a woman who works with dangerous people for a living, someone trained to spot red flags, end up dead at the hands of the man who promised to protect her? If you think you'd see it coming, you're lying to yourself. Subscribe now, because the next story might be about someone sitting right next to you. March 26th, 2023. Let's go back to that day. It's a Sunday, springtime in Columbia, the kind of evening where you'd crack a window, maybe grill out, enjoy the weather. Carrington Place, apartments, quiet neighborhood, nothing unusual. Until 6 p.m., gunshots multiple. Witnesses scramble. 911 lines light up. When Richland County Sheriff's deputies arrive, they find Wynter lying outside an apartment building. Gunshot wounds, no pulse. She's gone. And Renardo, he's inside, barricaded, armed. This is where it gets worse. The 3-hour standoff, the lie about a child, and the single gunshot that ended it all. But if you leave now, you'll never know what Renardo said in those final moments. Don't let curiosity kill you. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Chapter 2 drops soon, or don't. Go ahead and walk away. Just remember, Wynter's mom thought she was safe too. Welcome to Unseen True Crime Stories, where the darkest secrets and untold cases come to light. Consider subscribing and tapping the notification bell. That way you won't miss our next true crime story. 3 hours. That's how long it took for everything Wynter could have been to turn into everything she'd never be. When deputies arrived at Carrington Place, they didn't just find a crime scene. They found a ticking time bomb. Renardo Johnson locked inside apartment, armed, and according to initial reports, not alone. Someone told police there was a child in there with him. Stop right there. Imagine being that kid's parent. Imagine hearing gunshots, seeing police swarm your building, and being told your baby is trapped inside with a man who just killed someone. Your heart's racing just thinking about it, isn't it? Crisis negotiators rushed to the scene. SWAT teams took position. And for nearly 3 hours, trained professionals tried to talk Renardo down. Tried to get him to open that door. Tried to end this without more bloodshed. But here's what nobody tells you about standoffs. They're not like the movies. There's no dramatic music. No hero bursting through the door at the last second. It's just waiting and praying and hoping the person on the other side chooses life. While negotiators worked, Wynter's body lay outside, still, cold. Her mother didn't know yet. Her father, A.J. Smith, that college athlete with the contagious smile, he didn't know yet. Her sorority sisters, her co-workers at Broad River, her former teammates, none of them knew that Wynter's last Instagram post would actually be her last. You ever scroll past someone's page after they're gone? It hits different, doesn't it? Every photo becomes a timestamp. Every caption becomes a ghost. If this is making your stomach turn, good. That means you're human. And humans protect each other, so subscribe. Because stories like this, they're warnings we can't afford to ignore. Back inside that apartment, Renardo kept talking, kept negotiating, kept playing a game he'd already lost. Then around 9 p.m., he stopped responding. The negotiators called out. Nothing. They tried again. Silence. And then bang. To one gunshot. SWAT teams moved in immediately, breached the door, cleared the rooms. They found Renardo, self-inflicted gunshot wound to the upper body, still breathing, but barely. They rushed him to the hospital. He died shortly after. And here's the part that'll make you sick. There was no child. Never was. That whole 3 hours, that panic, that fear, it was based on bad information, a rumor, a mistake. 1 year later, March 26, 2024, Broad River Correctional Institute, the same place where Wynter used to walk the halls, the same place where she believed in second chances, the same place where inmates, some of the most broken people in South Carolina, actually felt her absence. They dedicated a bench to her, purple, her sorority color, Delta Sigma Theta. Think about that. Convicted felons, lifers, men who society wrote off, and they mourned a woman who saw them as human. That's who Wynter was. Her coworkers gathered, her family came. Her mother stood there 1 year after losing everything, and she made a promise. I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else. Not I hope, not maybe. I'm going to, because here's what Lash and Williams understood, that most of us don't. Grief without action is just pain. But grief with purpose, that's legacy. You know what kills me? Most people will watch this video, feel something for 30 seconds, and then scroll to the next thing. Cat video, dance trend, whatever. But if you're still here, that means something in you knows this matters. So do me a favor. If Wynter's story touched you even a little, hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for her, because every person who hears her name is a person who might spot the red flags she couldn't, and that might just save a life. But let me ask you something. What red flags were there? That's the question that haunts Lashin. That's the question that keeps her up at night. Because from the outside, everything looked fine. No police reports, no restraining orders, no emergency room visits with "I fell down the stairs" excuses. Renardo never hit Wynter, at least not where anyone could see. So what happened? Experts say domestic violence isn't always physical. Sometimes it's emotional, psychological, financial. Sometimes it's the way someone makes you feel small, makes you question yourself, makes you believe you're overreacting when your gut is screaming. And here's the scariest part: you might be living with it right now and not even know. Does someone in your life make you feel like you're walking on eggshells? Do you catch yourself editing your words, your clothes, your plans just to avoid setting them off? Do they apologize after blowing up, swear they'll change, and then do it all over again? That's not love. That's control. Wynter worked with dangerous people every single day. She was trained to recognize manipulation, instability, violence, and she still didn't see it coming in her own relationship. So if you think you're too smart, too educated, too together for this to happen to you, you're exactly the person who needs to subscribe, because denial is the first red flag, and you just waved it. After the memorial, Lashin started speaking publicly. Schools, churches, community centers, anywhere people would listen. She tells Wynter's story, but more than that, she tells her story. The story of a mother who did everything right and still lost her daughter. "I looked him in the eyes," she repeats, "and I believed him." That's the part that breaks me, because she's not just talking to strangers. She's talking to herself, forgiving herself, trying to convince herself that this wasn't her fault, and it wasn't. It was Renardo's, 100%. He made the choice. He pulled the trigger. He destroyed 2 families in one night, but the guilt, that stays with the survivors. Wynter's father, though not mentioned in every article, carries his own weight. Her friends replay their last conversations, searching for clues. Her co-workers wonder if they missed something at work. Her sorority sisters ask themselves why they didn't check in more. That's what violence does. It doesn't just kill, it infects, it spreads. It makes everyone question everything. So here's what I need you to understand. This story, Wynter's story, isn't just about one woman in South Carolina. It's about every woman, every man, every person who's ever stayed in something that didn't feel right because leaving felt harder. It's about the friend who stopped answering your texts, the co-worker who seems off but insists everything's fine, the family member who canceled plans again because their partner needed them. Pay attention. Ask questions. Don't take "I'm fine" as gospel, because Wynter probably said "I'm fine" 100 times before March 26th. And you know what? Maybe she was fine. Maybe Renardo snapped out of nowhere. Maybe there were no signs. Maybe this was truly unpreventable. But I don't believe that, and neither should you. Let's rewind. Before the gunshots, before the standoff, before the purple bench, let's go back to when Wynter and Renardo were just 2 people, dating, making plans, posting pictures, because that's when it starts. Not with violence, with charm. Abusers don't announce themselves. They don't show up on the first date and say, "Hey, I'm going to ruin your life." They show up with flowers, compliments, attention. They make you feel seen. And for someone like Wynter, busy, ambitious, juggling a demanding job and future plans, having someone who wanted to be there, that probably felt good. But here's the thing about charm: it's a tool. And in the wrong hands, it's a weapon. We don't know the details of their relationship. We don't have text messages or journal entries or therapy notes. What we have are fragments, clues, patterns. We know Lashawn Williams trusted him. That means Renardo played the role perfectly. He showed up. He was respectful. He said the right things. But you know what abusers are really good at? Code switching. They're one person in public, another in private, and the victim, they're stuck trying to reconcile the two. "He's so sweet to me in front of my family. He only gets angry when he's stressed. He promised he'd never do it again." Sound familiar? Here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to think about someone in your life who makes you uncomfortable. Not someone who's obviously dangerous, someone who's just off. Maybe they're too intense, too jealous, too quick to anger, too controlling. Got someone in mind? Good. Now ask yourself, if something happened to them or their partner tomorrow, would you be surprised? Or would you think, "I saw that coming"? If it's the second one, you need to say something. Today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today. And if you're scared to speak up because it's none of my business, let me tell you something. Wynter's friends probably thought the same thing, and now she's dead. Subscribe. Share this video. Tag someone who needs to see it, Because staying silent isn't neutral, it's complicity. Let's talk statistics for a second. I know numbers are boring, but these aren't. In the United States, approximately 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner violence in their lifetime. Every year, intimate partner violence accounts for 15% of all violent crime. And here's the kicker, most victims don't report it. Why? Because they're scared, ashamed, in denial, or they genuinely believe it'll get better. Wynter never reported anything. No 911 calls, no police visits, nothing on record. Does that mean nothing happened? Or does it mean she was handling it quietly the way so many people do? Sheriff Leon Lott said it best. This is another sad example of how violent and deadly a domestic situation can be. Another, not the first, not the last, another. How many more Wynters do we need before we start paying attention? How many more mothers have to bury their daughters? How many more purple benches do we have to build? I'll tell you when people like you stop thinking it's not your problem. When you stop scrolling past stories like this because they're too heavy. When you stop ignoring your gut because confrontation is uncomfortable. This is your problem. It's all of our problem. And if you can't even be bothered to hit a subscribe button to stay informed, then honestly, what's the point? One more thing before we move to the final chapter. Renardo Johnson didn't wake up on March 26th and decide to kill Wynter. This was building for days, weeks, maybe months. There were moments, conversations, arguments, looks, and somewhere in that timeline, there was a moment where Wynter felt afraid. Maybe just for a second. Maybe she brushed it off. Maybe she told herself she was overreacting, but she felt it. And that feeling, that's your alarm. That's your body screaming, get out. Don't ignore it. Don't rationalize it. Don't wait for it to get worse. Because for Wynter, there was no worse. There was only the end.
Well, we now know the name of a woman who was shot and killed outside of an apartment complex on Mallet Hill Road that we told you about. She is 25-year-old Wynter Straw. This incident started at about 6 o'clock on Sunday night near the 700 block of Mallet Hill Road, where deputies say Straw was shot and killed. Deputies say the suspect then barricaded himself inside the apartment for more than 3 hours. They later heard a gunshot from inside the apartment. They found that suspect dead, or with a gunshot wound to the upper body. He died on Monday morning.
So here we are, the end. Wynter Nicole Straw, 25 years old, basketball champion, mental health officer, future lawyer, daughter, friend, sister in Delta Sigma Theta. Gone, but not forgotten. On that purple bench at Broad River, there's a plaque. I don't know exactly what it says, but I can guess. Something about her smile, her dedication, her light. And every day, inmates walk past it. Corrections officers walk past it. Visitors walk past it. And maybe, just maybe, someone sees it and thinks, I need to check on my sister. Or I need to leave. Or I need to speak up. That's legacy, not the way you die, but what happens because you lived. Wynter didn't choose to be a cautionary tale. She chose to be a helper, a healer, someone who saw the good in people even when they couldn't see it in themselves. But now her story is a warning. And if we don't listen, if we don't learn, then her death means nothing. So let me ask you one final time. What are you going to do differently? Are you going to check in on that friend who's been distant? Are you going to have that uncomfortable conversation with someone whose relationship doesn't sit right with you? Are you going to stop making excuses for behavior that scares you? Or are you going to close this video, forget her name in 24 hours, and hope this never happens to someone you love? Because hoping isn't enough. Thoughts and prayers aren't enough. Subscribing isn't even enough. But it's a start. So do it. Hit that button. Turn on notifications. Share this with someone who needs it. And then do the real work. Pay attention. Speak up. Intervene. Because the next Wynter is out there right now, and she's running out of time. Lashin Williams is still fighting, still speaking, still trying to turn her worst nightmare into someone else's wake-up call. Wynter's father carries her memory every day. Her friends light candles. Her sorority sisters wear purple in her honor. And somewhere in Columbia, South Carolina, there's an apartment complex where residents still remember the night the police came. The night the gunshots rang out. The night a bright light was extinguished. But here's the thing about light, it doesn't really die. It just moves, it transfers. It becomes something else. Wynter's light is now in you. in everyone who hears her story. And what you do with it, that's up to you. If you made it this far and still haven't subscribed, I don't even know what to say. Drop a comment. Tell me why. Tell me what it's going to take. Tell me why you think you're immune to this, or don't. Just sit there, stay silent, and when tragedy strikes close to home, remember you were warned. But for those of you who did subscribe, thank you, seriously. You're the reason stories like Wynter's don't fade. You're the reason her name still means something. You're the reason the next person might see the signs in time. Rest in power, Wynter Nicole Straw. Your fight isn't over. We're carrying it now. And this was Wynter's story. But it doesn't have to be the end of yours. Stay safe, stay aware, and subscribe.
Lady of my family, and so she was my little sister, and so it just hurt me so bad because I wish I was there for her. I wish I was right down the street. I just wish she would have called.
This is the kind of story Unseen True Crime Stories is dedicated to sharing, not just for entertainment, but for vital, grim lessons. If this story stirred something in you, if it made you think, then you know you need to be here for the next one. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and if you're still scrolling past without joining, I have to ask, what truth are you afraid to face? What essential understanding are you willing to miss out on? Tell us in the comments. We'll be here continuing to shed light on the shadows, because sometimes understanding the darkness is the only way to find the light. Thank you for watching.